Hey folks, I am super excited back today with Myles. Myles is located in sunny Ireland, is that right?
That is
Yeah?
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Northern Ireland.
all right. And Myles, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at VMware? Love to get the folks introduced to you.
Sure. So, my name's Miles. I work in a field called technical marketing,
Hmm.
which is kind of like a bridge you can think between engineering and what we're building and how customers can actually use stuff. It's very use case focused.
Yeah,
So, sort of describing not just how to use a product, but like places where it actually fits, where it makes sense, where it doesn't make sense critically as well.
yeah,
Gathering customer feedback, bringing it back to the product management to make sure we're actually building what customers want.
yeah.
It's a very multifaceted role, and my boss Ken Wernerberg once said,
Mhm.
it sort of is anything the product requires, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever that is, that is essentially what we do.
Something that's fascinating about roles like yours, where you're basically a technical marketing function in a large, I would say, in a large organization with over 300 products on any given day, and I'm sure many more next
Yeah,
quarter, is that you then have to identify use cases that are pragmatic for customers, right? As well as take features that are being considered and deployed and say, love the way that the feature was thought up, maybe don't love the way that it got deployed, right?
right.
Because there's a critical usability issue, or this is particularly challenging from a scale perspective for a customer once they start adopting in mass, et cetera. Uh,
Exactly.
I think what's kind of neat is that you're also going to be doing a talk at KubeCon, which is why we're chatting today,
I am.
with some similarities there. And would you tell folks a little bit about what you'll be chatting about at KubeCon and what your plan
Sure.
is?
Sure. I guess straight up, I'll sort of just say that the reason that we get myself and Steve Wong, who is my co-presenter, we get a session every KubeCon. And it's not because we submit amazing proposals. It's because we run, though they are pretty good talks.
Yeah,
It's because we run the Kubernetes VMware user group, right? So if
nice.
you have questions around running Kubernetes on the VMware stack, whether
Mhm.
it's in cloud, on-prem, whatever, right? That is the place to go. We have presenters on from product management, from engineering to come and talk about what they're working on in the community space, right? It's a community driven thing. So it's not super product focused. We're
Yeah,
not trying to sell you things, that you go there to get help. There are other like-minded individuals that are trying to solve the same problems. We have some really good discussions. So that's something to definitely check out, the VMware Kubernetes user group.
and
And
I do want to pause here
sure.
because this is like a very important point in my head. A lot of times, folks will remember VMware from the days of proprietary software that required user support and user groups like that. This is
Mhm.
not at all what that is, right? I think this is one of
Right.
the interesting points. If you are a community user of Kubernetes, you have an interesting use case challenge that maybe requires an edge solution mixed with something over in, I'm just throwing out a CSP here, AWS or Azure, and you're trying to figure out how to make it all cohesive. This is a great place to have that conversation
Right.
or try to figure out some avenues. Is that true? In
Right.
terms
I mean, we're not there to sell you VMware product, right? You're part of that user group because you've already got VMware product. We're not interested in upselling or anything like that. And frankly, the community guidelines that Steve and I adhere to as
of,
chairs limits us from doing that, right? We're not allowed to do that. So it
yeah,
is truly a place that you can go to get honest advice from ourselves, but other community members as well.
yeah,
They're out there trying to solve the same problems. We had some really amazing, just freeform conversations on multi AZ and app topology.
mhm,
How do you deal with that? And is it really necessary to have, for example, shared storage underneath all that stuff nowadays if you're doing it at the app layer?
yeah,
So we get into some really sort of soul searchy questions for VMware. Like has been our bread and butter all this time is infrastructure that's highly reliable and shared
right,
storage and all this kind of stuff. And now
consistent.
we're seeing apps that they don't need that, right? So we have some really interesting back and forths because there's a mixture of folks who are either, coming at it from the Kubernetes angle. Okay, I've been told to run this on VMware. How do I make that happen? And we've got the VI admin folks who are, I know vSphere, now I need to run Kubernetes. And having these two different personalities that are like, well, of course you need shared storage, and well, of course you don't need shared storage, and seeing them meld together and come up with solutions is really, really interesting.
Nice. I think that's a great discussion. And then, is there anything that you are super excited or interested in about? I can think of something that was just announced this morning, but what might you be excited or interested in about?
I think we're probably excited about the same things at this moment in time. TCE, Tanzu Community Edition, like you said, came out this morning. And that's actually part of the subject of our KubeCon talk this year, right?
Oh, nice.
So,
okay. Yeah.
So Steve has been working on TCE for a while now, right? That's his baby. So he's going to talk about TCE, how you can get up and running with it on your, local computer, that kind of stuff. And he was kind enough to set it up in a vSphere environment for me. And then we've got like a big 20-minute or so demo of running GPU-based applications on top of TCE, right? Just the community supported out-of-the-box experience that you get if you download and run TCE. So we've got Kubernetes in there. We've got Bitfusion, which comes with your vSphere environment. So that gives you access to GPUs in a distributed as a service manner rather than the more static, I will mount this GPU into a VM and then consume it type way. So we're doing some really, really interesting stuff in that session around both TCE, AI ML applications, and how you can really truly scale those in a cloud native fashion and not the more rigid static configurations that we've had in the past.
I apologize. There's a little bit of background noise here. So, one of the questions that I do want to kind of clear up is there a cost model around TCE? And I think for a lot of our viewers, it's probably going to be the first time they're hearing about it. How do they get it?
How do they get it? You go to the repo, you brew tap, or you use Chocolatey or whatever OS you're using, and you do a brew install Tanzu Community Edition. I just ran it, 30 minutes ago, and it kind of just works, right? And that's it, right? You've got the CLI, and from there, you either launch the UI if you want to do that, or you can just go all CLI driven, deploy out your management cluster, start deploying some workload clusters. Away you go. Really, it honestly is that simple. And I know technical marketing, we big stuff up and we make it sound simpler than it is, but it really is that.
Nice. Well, I'm super excited. I feel like this is a great way for folks who are experimenting with pure play Kubernetes to get a solid start and then migrate to whatever makes sense for them.
Exactly.
Do you, during your talk, are you going to be covering anything else, or is TCE the focus of where you're going to be going?
It's TCE is kind of like the foundation of what we're talking about, and then it's not so much a talk about TCE, but what can you do with it, right? Once you've got it up and running, So it's not just, hey, look, this is how you get Kubernetes, because frankly, we can all do that nowadays. It's been a couple of years, so it's more a little bit of the what can you get with fairly minimal effort out of that platform, right? That's more what it is.
Okay. Great. Well, Myles, it was awesome chatting with you. We're going to have you back after KubeCon to chat a little bit about what kind of use cases you guys kind of had questions about.
Absolutely.
Challenges that people may be facing as well. And, Kubernetes things in general. I think those are all.
Thank you, Sudesh.
All right. Take care and have a great week. Thank you.
You too.